Welcome back, viewers. We are now being joined by a very critical guest. Imain Zaparova, who is the first Deputy Foreign Minister of Ukraine, is speaking to us live. This on the 48th day of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Ms. Zaparova, thank you so much for joining us and speaking to us and our viewers here in India. My first question to you will be that we have just seen visuals of Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, along with his Belarusian counterpart Lukashenko, and they appear to be putting up a strong front. I can gather from the visuals that they want to show off their alliance and also the technological superiority of Russia. But what is your view? Where is this invasion going, and what do you think is the real state of the Russian invasion of Ukraine?
Greetings from Kiev, dear Ankit, and all of those Indian people who can hear us. Indeed, it's very important to talk to you so far when we are facing 48th day of the war. We are closely watching and monitoring the alliance, not only the political alliance, but also the military alliance that Belarus and Russia has. When it goes to Belarus, we have a separation. We kind of divide the civil society of Belarus that it was actually trying to fight for their freedom, and the regime of Lukashenko, as well as the regime of President Putin, who actually launched this war. So we see that two dictators are quite good in having this alliance, and unfortunately we saw how the territory of Belarus had been used to hit us, my country, with missile attacks, and they also use their capabilities to fuel up the Russian army on the territory of Ukraine. However, the Belarusian soldiers have not been fixed as those who fight for Russian atrocities in my country. So, of course, this meeting in the Cosmodrome was a pre-planned one. We knew about this meeting. It's nothing new, or it's not a novel in this situation. You are quite right, Ankit, saying that this is an attempt to show off the military alliance. But I believe that the consequence for Belarus would be even more critical and would be even more crucial as Russia sees so far in terms of their losses of their military personnel in case if they decide to fight in Ukraine. And when you refer saying that there is a superiority of Russia, but let me remind you that actually they were thinking that they are and they have superiority over the Ukrainian army, because their initial plan was a 3-day blitzkrieg with the control over the capital Kyiv, and it has failed. And the second largest army in the world has failed to stick to its goals and accomplish its military goals in my country because of our brave people. So today we understand and we expect a serious offensive, military offensive in Donbass, because they had to regroup and they had to change their military plans as they understood that Putin doesn't have a capability to take control over Ukraine. So they're now focusing on the eastern and southern part of my country, which is Donbass. For them, it's crucial to hit Mariupol. You probably understand that atrocities that are in Mariupol will be even worse that we saw in Bucha, in Irpin, and other nearby cities of Kyiv, because already thousands of civilians have been burned in crematoriums. This is what our intelligence service say, because after Bucha, when the whole world revealed the atrocities of Russian army, they are now trying to hide their crimes in Mariupol. So
Ms. Zaparova, that is precisely what I want to ask you about next, because our crews have been in Ukraine from north to south and east to west, and we have reported from over 30 cities, and we've seen the devastation at Bucha. We've also now seen at Chernihiv and all through Mariupol as well. We are being told now, the Mariupol mayor has said that tens of thousands of civilians may have died. We are also hearing the UK is accusing Russia of having used chemical weapons also. Can you give us a sense of what you are finding as the Russian troops withdraw from the cities that have been battered in these last 1.5 months?
Yes, well, let me first thank the Republic TV of India for actually delivering the truth, because unfortunately we will also see how Russia is trying to manipulate the information, saying that they have a special operation, that they have a noble aim to fight for their interests in my country. But what we see and what your anchors and your TV representatives and your groups working here in Ukraine show is really important, because within the digital world of small attention, it's very crucial to show the right things. So with regards to your question about the chemical weapon and about the offensive in Mariupol, indeed, we unfortunately, as far as the city has been occupied and besieged for days, we understand that people doesn't have, they don't have water, they don't have basic facilities, they don't have food. So it's quite difficult for us to say how many of them died because of shellings, artillery shellings, bombings and hunger. And when we had an attempt to evacuate people, and this was, by the way, initiated by the minister in Antalya during the first round of talks with the Minister Lavrov, we failed to find any common ground to evacuate our people. So indeed, it's quite difficult to say what is the scale of the consequences in terms of the losses of our civilian people. But believe me, this would be probably the most horrific thing that we will reveal when the city will be deoccupied. So Bucha and Irpin and other cities, now they are the symbols of atrocities, but Mariupol will be even worse.
I shudder to think what we'll find there. Ms. Japarova, my next question to you will be, at this moment, from the impression we have, Russia is aiming to deliver a very hard and frontal assault at the eastern Donbas region. This appears to be somewhat of a calm before the storm in that respect. Is Ukraine ready for a renewed assault by Russia? What are you expecting?
Of course, we didn't want to have this war, because what we claim and say, this is an unprovoked war. We didn't do anything but for willing to live our life. We didn't do anything to provoke Putin for these atrocities, for rape of young girls and old ladies. They rape ladies over 60-year-old Russian soldiers. We didn't expect to be shelled and bombed and our civilian dwellings to be shelled and bombed. So this is unfortunately the reality that me and millions of my compatriots face. We really understand that President Putin, he actually had an attempt to justify his crime of attack to my country day before the war started. So I believe that the doctrine behind is no Ukraine doctrine, no existing Ukraine, no developed Ukraine doctrine. So they will do their best to crush my country. But let me also be clear by saying that we have already seen how they failed to accomplish their goals, including their military goals. And this is probably the most amazing, and I'm sure that Indian people are also amazed by the bravery not only of the Ukrainian soldiers, but also civilians and average people who stop tanks with their bare hands, who build up live shields to protect the nuclear plants. We now see at the eastern part of my country, which is the Kherson region, which is on the borderline, administrative line with Crimea, Russia is trying to have yet another so-called People's Republic. It's called the Kherson People's Republic, and people, they don't collaborate with occupants. They have rallies and protests. They have been killed because of this, but they don't step back. And this is what my country is insisting on, what my president is, who gave an interview to your TV channel recently, who is very clear saying that my country will be fight for its survival, will be fight for its European future, will be fight for the dignity and international community that fights for international law that had been violated by President Putin and his leadership.
Right. Ms. Japarova, I thank you so much for speaking to Republic Media Network and the viewers here in India and explaining the current situation of the Ukraine war. We thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you safety and the citizens of Ukraine safety as well. Thank you so much, Ms. Iman Japarova, First Deputy Foreign Minister of Ukraine.